We are going to uncover the history of 13 ghost towns across the Pacific Northwest, where abandoned streets and forgotten buildings tell tales of the gold rush and a bygone era. Welcome to RV Out West. I'm Brooks. Based in the Pacific Northwest, my family of four hits the road to explore the best of RV life out west. From hidden gems and epic destinations to helpful tips and real road stories. So grab your coffee and join the journey. Ghost towns in the Pacific Northwest offer a poignant glimpse into the region's past. Reminders of boom and bust cycles fueled by gold, logging, and railroads. During the late 1800s, thousands of settlers rushed into Washington, Oregon, and Idaho, chasing fortune and opportunity. Many of these communities thrived briefly before being abandoned when resources ran dry or industries collapsed. Today, there remains weathered wooden buildings, silent streets, and rusting mining equipment that all stand as open air museums telling stories of ambition and loss. Exploring these ghost towns feel like stepping through a time portal where you can wander through preserved saloons and general stores, imagining the daily life of miners and pioneers who once filled them. Some towns are easy to reach by RV and still maintained for you, while others require a little bit more of an adventurous spirit and a capable vehicle to find them deep in the mountains or desert. Each site reveals something unique about the people who shaped the Northwest and the challenges they faced. Many of these locations are now protected as historic sites, offering a chance to connect with a rugged past that helped define the character of the Pacific Northwest. They're more than abandoned relics. They're stories frozen in time, waiting for those curious enough to listen to what remains. RVing through the Pacific Northwest offers the perfect way to explore these forgotten towns. Rolling through winding back roads surrounded by forests, mountains, and open plains that all once buzzed with life. Traveling by your RV will give you the freedom to wander off the main highways and discover places that most travelers will never see. Many of these ghost towns are tucked away in remote valleys or up in high desert plateaus, making an RV both your transportation and your home base for adventure. Imagine pulling up near an abandoned main street, stepping outside into the crisp morning air, and walking through history with no crowds or tour buses in sight. So let's explore and journey to 13 ghost towns across the Pacific Northwest, each with its own story, mystery, and character. From the high mountain mining camps of Idaho to Oregon's desert outposts and Washington's forgotten logging towns, these destinations invite you to connect with a bygone era. Scattered across Washington state's vast landscapes lie the remnants of forgotten towns, silent witnesses to the state's restless past. Born during booms in mining, logging, and rail expansion, these communities once buzzed with life and ambition. Exploring Washington's ghost towns isn't just a journey through history, it's a step back into the untamed frontier that shaped this region. High in the North Cascades, Monte Cristo, Washington, tells a story of ambition and sudden decline. Founded in the 1880s as a booming mining town, it thrived on silver and gold, drawing prospectors, families, and businesses to the rugged mountains. But as quickly as fortune arrived, it vanished. Fires, harsh winters, and economic collapse forced residents to abandon their homes. Today, crumbling foundations, rusted equipment, and silent trails are all that remain as echoes of the town's brief but intense life, offering you a haunting glimpse into the hopes and hardships of Washington's mining past. You can easily hike or bike into the site to find remnants of cabins and mining equipment deep within the forest. Not to be confused with its California namesake, this Washington state ghost town sits near the Canadian border. Perched in the rugged hills of eastern Washington, Bodie tells a tale of rapid boom and sudden abandonment. In the late 1800s, miners flocked to the area chasing gold, building a bustling town with homes, shops, and saloons. But as the mines dried up and hopes ran thin, families packed up and left, leaving behind weathered buildings and silent streets. If you plan your visit, you can walk among crumbling foundations, explore the remnants of old cabins, and imagine the clatter of daily life long gone, witnessing firsthand the fleeting prosperity and enduring mystery of Washington's mining past. Govan, Washington, once thrived as a small farming and railroad community in the early 1900s. Families lived, worked, and built a tight knit town, but over time, drought, economic hardship, and the decline of the railroad led residents all to leave. What remains are crumbling buildings, old foundations, and weathered remnants of homes and businesses. Here, you can imagine the lives and stories that once animated this quiet corner of the Palouse. Govan stands as a testament to the rise and fall of small town America, frozen in time for those curious enough to explore. Molson, Washington was born during the gold rush of the late 1890s, a bustling mining town that drew hopeful prospectors from across the country. Rich veins of gold fueled saloons, hotels, and stores. But as the mines played out and harsh winters set in, residents packed up and moved on. Today, Molson's landscape is dotted with crumbling stone foundations, rusted mining equipment, and the skeletal remains of a once busy buildings. You can explore the quiet streets and imagine the clamor of a town chasing fortune, a place where the echoes of ambition still linger among the rugged terrain. Washington's ghost towns all tell a story of ambition, grit, and heartbreak. They're reminders of how quickly fortunes can rise and fade in the pursuit of gold, timber, and opportunity. But the tale doesn't stop at the state line. If you head south into Oregon, you can hear the echoes of the past growing even louder. Old mining camps, abandoned hotels, and frontier towns are all frozen in time, each with its own history waiting to be uncovered. Once known as the wool capital of the world, Sheniko, Oregon rose from the sagebrush plains in the early 1900s as a vital hub for sheep ranchers and traders. The railroad brought prosperity, filling its streets with hotels, banks, and warehouses. But when the rails shifted routes, Sheniko's lifeline vanished almost overnight. But now the town stands frozen in time, its grand hotel still watching over quiet streets, the old schoolhouse weathered by wind and sun, and antique cars rusting behind forgotten storefronts. Walking through Sheniko feels like stepping into a sepia toned photograph of Oregon's past. Tucked deep into the Rogue River Valley, Golden, Oregon rose in the 1850s during the height of the gold rush. Unlike many mining towns, Golden was founded by a deeply religious community that shunned saloons and focused on faith. When the gold ran out, so did the people, leaving behind old buildings that quietly echo the hymns once sung in the small church that still stands today. You can wander through Golden and explore the preserved homes and the rustic schoolhouse and the old graveyard, an evocative reminder of lives built and abandoned in pursuit of fortune. Sumter, Oregon, rose from the Blue Mountain wilderness in the late 1800s, fueled by gold fever and grit. Once a booming mining town with saloons, hotels, and one narrow gauge railroad, it thrived as prospectors pulled millions from the surrounding hills. But when the gold dwindled and a devastating fire swept through in 1917, Sumter's golden days faded to dust. Today, the town's remnants tell the story. Again, it's more weathered buildings and rusted mining machinery, but the massive Sumter Valley dredge stands as a monument to an era of ambition and loss. Should you decide to visit, you can stroll through history, imagining the sound of a pickaxe as it bangs on a rock and piano tunes drifting through the mountains. Antelope, Oregon, began as a quiet stage stop in the late 1800s, serving weary travelers and ranchers making their way through the high desert. For decades, it was a small, quaint, yet steady community until the 1980s. when it was thrust into national headlines during the rise and fall of the Rajneesh movement. The town was overtaken, renamed, and forever changed by the turbulent events that followed. Today, Antelope stands as a living ghost of Oregon's past, its quiet streets and scattered buildings holding stories of pioneers, controversy, and resilience. If you'd like to learn more about the Rajneesh movement that profoundly impacted the Antelope Valley, there's an excellent mini documentary series on Netflix called Wild Wild Country. It dives deep into the rise and fall of the commune, exploring how a small Oregon town became the center of one of America's most fascinating and controversial chapters. As you leave behind Oregon's relics of gold rush days and weathered frontier towns, the road east leads you across the state line into Idaho, another land shaped by ambition, isolation, and grit. Here, ghost towns cling to the edge of the mountain valleys and river canyons, where miners once carved lives from the wilderness. Each abandoned settlement tells a story of hope, hardship, and the restless spirit that drove people ever deeper into the rugged heart of the Northwest. High in the Owyhee Mountains, Silver City, Idaho once pulsed with the clamor of pickaxes, stagecoaches, and saloon pianos. Founded in the 1860s during a silver boom, it grew into one of Idaho's liveliest mining towns with more than 75 businesses, its own newspaper, and even telegraph lines. But as the veins of silver ran dry, the crowds vanished, leaving behind wooden buildings and brick remnants of prosperity. Today, should you choose to visit, you can wander the dusty streets, step inside the preserved Idaho Hotel, and imagine the days when this remote mountain outpost glittered with promise and the spirit of the Old West. Tucked in the rugged Salmon Challis National Forest, Bay Horse, Idaho rose in the late 1800s when miners struck silver and lead into the steep canyon walls. The town quickly filled with prospectors, blacksmiths, and families chasing fortune in the rough Idaho wilderness. When the mines closed in the early 1900s, Bayhorse fell silent. It was left to the wind and snow. If you choose to visit today, you can explore the remarkably preserved stone buildings and the old charcoal kilns that once fueled the smelters, and a landscape that still whispers stories of grit, ambition, and the fleeting nature of a boomtown life. Chesterfield, Idaho began in the 1880s as a small Mormon settlement along the Bear River on the Oregon Trail, where families built homes, schools, and a church, carving a life from the high desert soil. Over time, harsh winters, isolation, and changing economic conditions led residents to leave, leaving the town largely abandoned by the mid 20th century. Today, you can wander among a carefully preserved historic site with restored homes and interpretive tours while thinking about the struggles of the pioneers who once called this quiet corner of Idaho home. Warren, Idaho sprang to life in the 1860s as a bustling gold mining town, drawing prospectors eager to stake their claim in the rugged mountains. Over the decades, as the gold veins ran dry and harsh winters took their toll, the population dwindled, leaving behind abandoned cabins, mining equipment, and remnants of a once thriving street. All that stands these days are a few buildings, crumbling mines, and the rugged mountain terrain that frame the lives of miners who chased fortune in this remote Idaho outpost. Atlanta, Idaho rose in the late 1800s as a small gold mining town perched in the rugged mountains. Miners flocked to the area building cabins, saloons, and a general store to support the boom. But as the gold dwindled, residents left, leaving behind structures, equipment, and the quiet streets that all tell the story of what was once a bustling mountain settlement. In the late 1800s, the Pacific Northwest was a land of raw opportunity. Its dense forests and rugged mountains luring prospectors and panhandlers chasing the glittering promise of gold. Mining towns sprang up almost overnight, carved into the landscapes with pickaxes and sweat, while railroads snake through valleys and overpasses, connecting these fleeting pockets of ambition to the wider world. The clang of hammers, the hiss of steam engines, and the murmurs of hopeful voices filled the air, all leaving a mark not just on the land, but on the culture of the region itself. Today, those same mountains, rivers, and valleys that once drew fortune seekers now offer breathtaking beauty and quiet reflection. Trails wind past abandoned cabins, old mine shafts, and rusted rail lines, whispering stories of determination, hardship, and the dreams they pursued. The impacts of mining and railroads are etched into the terrain, reminding us that the Pacific Northwest's natural splendor is intertwined with the human endeavor that shaped it. In a modern world of urban hustle and digital connectivity, these landscapes offer a pause, a place to witness the resilience of both nature and the people who carved their lives into it. Imagine hitting the road in your RV, following the trail to 13 ghost towns across the Pacific Northwest. Each stop will offer a chance to step back in time, walk the streets where miner and pioneers once chased gold, and experience the history of the region firsthand, all while enjoying the adventure of RV travel. These ghost towns transform a typical road trip into an immersive journey. From rugged landscapes to quiet abandoned buildings, your RV makes for the perfect base camp as you look to explore and uncover these hidden stories and connect with the past while creating your own unforgettable adventures along the way. If you got value from this episode, please share it with one person you know. Also, give us a follow on Instagram and Facebook where you can join in on the conversation. I sure would appreciate it. Did you know you can also text the show directly from your podcast app? Just click the link right there below the episode description. You can share a topic idea, ask a question, or just say, hey, I'd love to hear from you. So go ahead, tap that link, and ask away. And if you'd like a response, please be sure to include your email. Thank you again for listening to RV Out West. Next Monday, we're rolling up our sleeves for a full fall RV deep clean. From smart organization hacks to deep cleaning tips that make your rig shine. So be sure to tune in to get your RV ready for the next season of adventure. Thanks for listening to RV Out West. Be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed the show, tell a friend and please leave a rating or a review. It would mean a lot. Special thanks to Scott Home Music for our intro song, We Are One. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook to join in on the conversation. Now, get out there, explore, and go see what's beyond the horizon.